Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to The Healthy Investor with Keith Klein. This morning, I wanted to talk to you about, I don't know if you saw the news on this, but you know,
In a time when most Americans are on a diet and still overweight, nutritionist Keith Klein says there's no magic pill or diet that will replace sound nutrition.
My philosophy of fitness is that you've got to love what you do, and this has to become a lifestyle. And if the changes that you're making are not part of a lifestyle, they're never going to work. And it's about tapping into being the best you can be rather than settling for mediocrity. It wasn't until I was 18 that I really got into weight training. And I was 120 pounds, 5'11", and I was self-conscious, skinny, small. And I learned through weight training and taking good care of myself that when I took good care of myself, people responded to me differently. And I saw the changes and how it affected my life in such a positive way, in so many different ways, that I felt like other people need to have this vision, that they can be so much better and feel so much better about themselves.
Change. And what happens is when you move into action, you find yourself in a situation that you have not been placed in before with the new behaviors.
He is the radio voice of good health and a leading author in the field of fitness. Klein has been in the business of good nutrition for 2 decades. He has worked in the areas of clinical nutrition and sports medicine.
Early on, I got the understanding of obesity, diabetes, heart disease, and nutrition. Then I worked with a psychiatrist where we did nothing but eating disorders. And there I got a very heavy background in the psychology of it all.
And that is that they took the exercise in a bottle off of the airways, at least on television.
If I had to put it in percentages, I would say that the nutrition part of it we're talking about in the beginning a lot. But by the second or third session, we're moving all the way over to the psychological components. The idea here is that you cannot change anything about yourself here until you change here. And that's the key. And if I can't change the way people are thinking about weight loss and eating and exercising, then we're never going to change this here. And so I don't psychoanalyze people, but what I do is really try to figure out where they are in the process of self-change, and then I'm going to try to move them into the next stage.
What is your goal right now?
I listen to what people have to say, and I'm listening for the defective thinking that they engage in, and I'm going to replace the defective thoughts with more effective thoughts, so that when they walk out of my office, they have a new way of thinking about their behavior and choices, which invokes them to want to change.
And that's the approach that has changed the lives of many of Keith's clients. Now, by looking at this wall, you might think this is a program for athletes, models, and beauty queens. You know, those people you would expect to have great bodies. But meet Pat. She's none of the above.
The time that I've spent with Keith, and the initial session is an hour, that is always the most motivating time. I mean, I walked in here with no self-esteem, just a fat girl, going to give it one more try, one more program, and I left here with a plan. I left here really very motivated to not only change my appearance, but change my life, and that's what I did.
Pat came to Keith at 5'4", weighing 160-plus pounds.
My life has changed completely. I was never athletic before in my life. I would avoid going places for fear that people might wear shorts. I hated the summer. I couldn't stand going places where I was going to get looked at or where it was anything physical whatsoever.
No longer 160 pounds, this fitness convert is now entering bodybuilding competitions.
I've completely modified my behavior. I didn't cook when I started with Keith, and now I spend all afternoon, Sunday afternoon, cooking my food for the week, packaging it up in little baggies so that every morning I can just go grab 2 from the top shelf and 1 from the 3rd shelf and throw them in my bag for the day. I took control. I absolutely took control. I came in here, I listened to him tell me what I should eat every day and how you don't have to try to be perfect, you just have to make better bad choices. I got educated on what that meant, and I took complete control of what went in my body, what happened to my body, how I spend my time, my energy, and they're my choices.
How many of you out there have bought the product Exercise in a Bottle?
Klein's serious devotion to healthy living has led him to tackle the growing problem of overweight kids.
Parents need to become very aware that they're slowly killing their children by the way they're feeding them. And so that's the first thing, is we need to understand that as a family unit, if we sit down as a family and we cook healthier foods, it doesn't have to be perfect food, but healthier foods, the whole family starts getting healthier immediately.
And what I'm here to tell you is that the process of change should actually be very enjoyable.
Keith's approach to good nutrition and fitness calls for a change, first in thinking and then in behavior.
What I'm responsible for is putting straightforward, accurate information before them that they can really use. The decision to use that information is up to them. You know, one thing that I do when I walk out of my office at the end of the day is that when I shut my doors, I just ask myself, did I do good work today? And if the answer to that is yes, then I feel good about my work. And that's all I'm here to do, is put the right kind of information to help people before them. And how they choose to use it will be up to them.
Again, I want to thank you for joining in. This has been The Healthy Investor, and I'll see you next weekend on the same time, on the same bat station. Bye, everybody.